let's talk about why you should leave silently while I do this makeup look. You guys were practically holding me at gunpoint for a makeup tutorial on that look, so that's what I'm gonna do. My bangs are not cooperating today, but it is what it is. So, I've come to the realization lately that, especially when it comes to narcissistic abuse, it is really, really important to leave as silently as you can. Anytime you're either in an abusive situation, or even just this applies to dealing with people, like for me recently, it's applying just dealing with, you know, even narcissistic people that I like have had to interact with. Not even just like necessarily an abusive situation, but also just a situation where it's just I'm dealing with narcissistic people, and I've learned a lesson recently by making a mistake. Yes, I use powder foundation. I don't know, it's just I grew up in the 2000s, okay? I don't know why I like it so much. I tend to get oily, and so I have combo skin and I tend to get oily. So it just, for some reason, it's just my go-to. It's also so easy. And with me being disabled, it's not easy for me to like handle liquid foundation. So I just feel like powder foundations just make it super, super quick and easy. I forgot to put on concealer, so I guess I'm just gonna put it over powder, even though you're not supposed to do that. So recently I had a situation where there has been someone on my Facebook who, for lack of a better word, who is highly misogynistic, and they're part of my religious days, and they've just been sharing misogynistic things, and also when I share my anti-religious content, him and his sister, I felt like, just ganged up on me in my comments and basically talked down to me and was just very, very condescending in the way that they were interacting with me. Also, sorry, I don't know why my eyes are so red. Here's my bronzing palette, my precious bronzing palette that I love so much and I keep using even though it's broken. It is the Physicians Formula Butter Collection with Weili Huang, I think. When they were talking down to me in my comment section and just, I don't know, I understand that what I was sharing was going to, you know, piss off the Christians in my feed, you know, people I've known from my Christian days. If you're a new subscriber, I hate to disappoint if you're a Christian, but I'm very much against Christianity and Abrahamic and patriarchal religions. I talk about it in my videos, and I'm going to be, I'm sure, talking about it more in the future. But I do consider those religions to be definitely based on that narcissistic hierarchical system that I talk about in a lot of my videos. Definitely based on imperialism, which, you know, it's rooted in white supremacy and misogyny. That's my opinion. If these opinions offend you, you're probably not gonna like my channel, so I would definitely recommend, just instead of leaving like a mean comment, just unsubscribe. So like I was saying, I did understand that I was gonna get some pushback from most of the people in my feed because, you know, a lot of them are from my Christian days. But I felt that the way that they responded was incredibly condescending, especially, and also when I was talking about, like, you know, like women's rights and feminism and stuff like that. It's surprising. I don't understand women. Like, even his sister was like commenting stuff that was just like, why do you want to believe in this oppressive things that oppresses our sex? Feels like such a betrayal to, you know, from woman to woman, why you would support these ideals and these notions that basically oppress women. But what can I say? You know, toxic femininity and toxic masculinity, which I think I'm going to talk about in my next video in relation to Blake Lively, they go hand in hand. They go right together. They're a match made in hell, you could say, but they're a match nonetheless. And when I saw those comments where they were talking down to me, we kind of came, him and his, you know, me and the guy who's I've known from a while ago, who was really just trying to prove me wrong about like the Bible and stuff like that. Him and I could not really come to consensus, but at least with his sister, who also chimed into my comments, which was weird because it was almost like he was like trying to get his sister like to back him up. It was weird. You know, we came to like a nice enough conclusion. We basically said we agreed to disagree. By the way, I'm using this to contour in this shade. Contour my nose. But I had the feeling that I should unfriend them because I didn't want to, just based off the fact that we have differing opinions, but it was based on the fact that they were just talking down to me, that the way that they were, and basically insinuating that I'm a foolish non-believer and all that BS, that, you know, guilt-tripping stuff that Christians love to do. And they also try to make you feel stupid at the same time. But I was like, you know what? Like, I shouldn't unfriend someone based on that. That's like, I don't want to be unreasonable, but I'm telling you, I should have listened to my gut feeling. And that's what happens with people who've experienced narcissistic abuse a lot of the times. We try to give people the benefit of the doubt way too often than we should. You know, too many chances. And I've come to the point where I'm actually down to like one chance. And if you pass a certain line, and honestly, my standards are getting pretty high these days. If you pass a certain line with me one time, I've realized after this experience that I should have listened to my gut, because what ended up happening just made everything worse. So this guy, and I've known these people for many years now, but this guy, he shares, I don't know, maybe I'll share it, a screenshot of it. He shares this post. And I kind of just had enough of his BS, and I was like, you know what? I went to his comments and I was like, I think it's time to unfriend. But then that wasn't enough for me. That wasn't enough for me. And I was just like, someone else was, a lot of his friends were commenting and saying, yeah, like this isn't cool, dude, you know, especially his female friends. And I commented under one of her comments, and I basically said, like, it's really frustrating because he has all these like narcissistic ideals, and I can't remember everything that I said. I kind of just like vented a little bit about his attitude about things and how he doesn't understand that he's conflating it to this issue of hedonism when it's really about having the power to leave abusive men for women. And I talked about how it's the first time I've ever talked about publicly about the fact that I've been a survivor of domestic violence. And he literally responded to my comment where I included the fact that I have been a victim or a survivor of domestic violence with the laughing emoji response. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. And I said, you know what? This shows, just you using that response to me sharing about my domestic violence experience shows how disingenuous you are. And then I blocked them. Blocked him. And also, that's another thing. He was like, you know, hey, sis, like, back me up. He literally tagged his sister to like back up, you know, get a woman's backup of his just misogynistic ideals. And before she could even respond, because she was actually even, you know, a little more condescending to me than he was in one of the other comments on my posts. And I was just like, nope, done. Blocked both of them. I'm gonna add a little extra shine to this nude contour. But they, you know, I realized after that, like, it doesn't really do anything to fight people who have completely different ideals than you. And I learned from that experience and realized I shouldn't have done anything except for just and not fought with him, because there's no point fighting with someone who doesn't have your same ideals, because it's just going to leave both parties frustrated, and it's going to make you look like the a-hole as well. I think I remember I added like a little to the side of my nose too. So I reflected on that experience, and I recently had another experience with a chiropractor that was very, very frustrating and basically diminished my whole illness and my experience with illness, and was not actually even paying attention to the real literal diagnosis that I have of spinal stenosis and bulging discs and stuff like that. And the fact that I have injuries, right? Severe injuries in my neck from the domestic abuse that I experienced, as well as a childhood playground accident that I had. I'm not sure I like the way that bunches up in my makeup, but oh well. I need like a nice brightening powder instead of this. And I was considering going to him one more time and just saying like, hey, you know, because he's actually somewhat like connected. He's through the same place that I go to my doctor. And so I feel like he's kind of influencing my doctor to say like, you know, that he doesn't think, he thinks that's like in my head or whatever, which is totally unfair. I have a literal diagnosis. Finally, I should go into my whole story about that. That's just was a freaking fight all on its own. And there's still more diagnoses that I'm still, you know, pursuing because I have other things going on as well. And I considered like going back to him and not like confronting him, but just being like, oh, you know, I talked to my other chiropractor and he said that it's so bad, you know, and my cervical instability, which is my neck, is so bad that he highly recommends that I get surgery. Like that's how bad it is because of all my neurological symptoms. And he was basically trying to, the other chiropractor who was not validating my experience basically was trying to say that I was not having neurological symptoms, even though I very clearly am, and that it was all something about muscle tightness. And I'm just like, no. So I was considering going back to him. And by the way, the eye look that you guys love so much is like super freaking easy. It's literally two colors. Someone was mentioning that they found it like a really wearable, colorful eye look, and thank you. That's exactly what I was going for. I've been really kind of drawn to almost like a clean girl colorful aesthetic, if that makes sense. Like taking color but then making it like super wearable. I don't know, that just feels like that just fits. I used to do more like lashes and things like that, and you know, more intense eyeliner, but I feel like, I don't know, just doing more wearable looks have been just my jam lately. And honestly, I don't wear makeup that often going out. Most of the time I'm just like wearing it for you guys. It's fun, but I just don't want to deal with it most of the time because it also, like, it's hard for me with my neck to do you know, eye looks, because you kind of have to constantly do these micro movements, and that is hard on my injured and horrible neck. I considered going back to this chiropractor and just being like, hey, so my other chiropractor said, you know, that my CCI is so bad and my bulging discs in my neck are so bad that I probably need surgery to stop all these horrible neurological conditions and things that I've been having, and the horrible pain that I've hardly been able to live through. And I realized that it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. I thought that maybe, you know, maybe he'd reconsider, and, you know, maybe he'd influence my doctor because, you know, they're colleagues, they work together. It's through the same clinic. And I considered, you know, maybe it would make him reconsider so that he stops denying my CCI diagnosis that I need. Even though I do have the spinal stenosis diagnosis and the bulging disc diagnosis, I also am experiencing severe CCI symptoms. And so when I talked to him the last time, he was just like, yeah, you're not having the symptoms associated with either cervical instability or a bulging disc. And then I was like, okay, that's weird. So I was like, maybe there's something I'm missing. I went home, searched up my symptoms that I've been complaining to him about basically every time I see him. And one of, you know, several of the symptoms, I mean, basically all of the symptoms I have, on top of the fact that I have severe spasming muscles literally 24/7. When they're even doing the MRI for my neck, my muscle was spasming even then. It literally never stopped spasming. And that's one of the symptoms of a bulging disc, or several bulging discs, which I have in my back. And I was just like, at that point, I was just like, no, I'm done. He can't even recognize the symptoms that I've been complaining about this entire time, and tries to tell me that I do not have a bulging disc, or that I don't have the symptoms associated with a bulging disc, when it literally, the list, the very like top list on Google is what I'm actually experiencing. Hell no, I'm just not going back to him anymore. So like I said, I was considering trying to just like, you know, oh, by the way, I'm using In a Trance palette by ColourPop, and I'm using this shade, I think it's called Up Level, and I'm just kind of brushing it onto the outer half of my lid and onto my crease, kind of pulling it in, but mostly concentrating it on the outer edge. I considered like trying to say, hey, my other chiropractors, I have multiple chiropractors, and, you know, also a literal diagnosis from my doctor that says I have this and it's causing me symptoms. And I realized that, you know, from my experience with the other person on Facebook, the people I used to know on Facebook, I realized that there's just no point in causing like confrontation or conflict before you leave. Because I almost consider it, and I think that a lot of people who identify with like the empath part of a dynamic when it comes to narcissistic abuse, if you've grown up in narcissistic abuse, is we have a tendency to be like really overly honest, and we want to give people like every chance to change the situation, to change their mind, to make things right. But when people have made their mind up about something, there really is no point. There's no point in trying to argue with someone. There's no point in trying to argue with trolls online. That's why I've come to the point where I try not to do that in the comments anymore. I mostly just like respond to some hate comments with my videos and just try to explain, you know, my perspective of things, because I feel like at least I'm getting content out of it. I'm not just wasting my energy for no reason. But especially when it comes to narcissistic abuse, and I honestly wish I would have done this more when I left my narcissistic abuser, just leave as silently as you can, as coldly as possible. And it's not easy for those of us who have a, you know, very like honest, warm, empathetic heart, because that warmth can turn into like a fiery passion of fighting against injustice, right? And when people are just being super unfair to you or talking down to you, you know, you want to stand up for yourself. And I think that you should. But when it comes to things like, especially like with my narcissistic abuser, one of the things that he did when the day I was actually leaving, thankfully it wasn't the same as what some people have to deal with, where they have they have to leave silently in the night because their narcissistic abuser is, you know, basically going to chase after them and try to find them. Thankfully, by the time that I left, he was actually already in a relationship with a new person, the person that he's still, I think, with now. I don't know. I haven't checked recently. Let me just say, they're certainly a match made in hell as well. They deserve each other. Certainly deserve each other. They kind of actually remind me a little bit of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. He actually has the same MBTI type as Ryan Reynolds and ENTP. So I'm also taking some and I'm just literally squeezing the brush and just putting it on my lower lashes on the outer half like that. But the day that I left, I made sure, even though I was feeling like hell, I cleaned up, because I'm living in an RV, and I had this, and we were moving the RV, right? And I made sure I cleaned up the RV like spick and span, even though I've struggled with, you know, cleaning for a long time because of how much pain and how fatigued and how ill I've been. I worked my ass off so that he didn't have any excuse to criticize me and cause a scene or cause a fight or anything like that. And I had, you know, something I didn't notice is in one of my closets, some like massage oil fell over and kind of got some oil like somewhere in my closet, and I noticed that he walked into the house because, you know, he was actually helping me get ready to go. Him and his father and my father were helping us like get off his parents' property basically with this RV. He looked in the little closet area that had the oil spilled, and he started just being like, "What the heck, Amber? Like you just leave things in here to spill." And I knew he was looking around and he was looking for something to criticize. And unfortunately, I fell for the bait. I got pissy. I was like, "What the heck? Do you not see how clean this house is? Like, I missed one thing." And I don't know if I remember if I raised my voice or anything, but he was trying to make me look like the a-hole in front of his father. So he had a reason to be like, "Look, she's crazy. She's crazy. She's the crazy one. You know, I have a reason. Like I'm the one in the right here." And he constantly did that. He constantly did that, you know, tried to inspire that reactive abuse. And a lot of times I did fall for it. But it's not easy to interact with a narcissistic abuser and maintain your cool, especially when it's like they're poking you like over and over 24/7 all day, you know, 7 days a week. So I have this other palette. It's the Harvest palette by Profusion. I basically just went into this mint shade. And this is how easy this is. By the way, this is one shade. I only use one shade, that one color in the ColourPop palette. And I'm going in here with my fingers. Just with my fingers. And I'm just putting that on the inside corner and dragging it in to blend with the purple. And you just, you know, you kind of keep doing that till it looks right. You blend. And that's when I've realized, like, honestly, I definitely recommend, if you're dealing with narcissistic abuse, Dr. Romani's content. She is someone who helped me a lot with understanding, especially the concept of gray rocking, where you just need to be as neutral as possible when dealing with narcissists, because they will do whatever it takes. And when it starts, it actually gets worse, because they're going to be like, they're not responding to they're not making them look like, I can't make them look like the bad guy anymore, because they're not responding to my prodding and poking to get them to react. But it's made me realize that when you leave a place, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't got to be like overly honest with them and try to get them to change their mind about you. You don't need to try and explain your point of view. And I always wondered, like, you know, isn't it just kind of cruel for me to have like a disagreement with someone and then just block them out of the blue? But I've realized that is the best way to handle it. If it's with someone that just, you know, is not going to understand your point of view, if you have that gut feeling that tells you, this person shouldn't really be in my life, don't ignore it. I was ignoring it for so long instead of having really firm boundaries, because I just wanted to give people a chance. And I would also question myself as well. And that's what narcissistic abuse gets you to do. And I've been experiencing ever since I was a child. It's like, am I the problem? And that's what they tried to do as well. They, you know, my ex constantly tried to say that I was the one who was the problem. He made me look that way. And he turned basically everyone that he could against me. And he even worked on turning my own family against me. And that worked for a while because of the narratives he was spinning to them. And then pushing me to such a point, especially with a chronic illness where I'm already not sleeping and in severe pain, to the point where I react and they see things that it's just like they don't understand what's actually going on. And it just dropped and cracked my precious palette. And instead of an eyeliner, I'm just going in with a dark brown shadow, and I'm putting it on like a tiny little pencil brush. And I'm doing something I learned from Wayne Goss like many years ago. I'm just like wiggling it in between the lashes instead of doing eyeliner. And I know that it's not easy, because like narcissistic abuse really makes you feel like you have something to prove. My phone died. So I just kind of like did my brows off camera. For whatever reason, like they didn't come out very well today, but I'll cover it up with my bangs. Don't worry about it. It's giving. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. But anyways, so that's just, I guess that's all I have basically to say about this, is that you don't owe anyone an explanation when you feel that like something is just not right about a person in your life. You don't have to announce that you're leaving. I basically just canceled the next doctor's appointment through text. Because they do that. They say, hey, text 1 to confirm, 2 to cancel. And I was like, 2. And I'm just going in with the Lash Princess mascara. It's got a little bit of clump today. I don't know, I'm just not very good at doing my makeup on camera. I feel like I'm so much better when I'm like just focusing on that and not doing anything else. But you get the idea. If you want to recreate the look, you know now how. And I think that so many of us who have experienced narcissistic abuse our whole lives, we feel like we have to be like overly honest with people and have to just really prove ourselves. I think that it actually trains us to be like almost like overly honorable. And then since that mascara smears like a bee, I'm going in with the Kosas mascara, very, very, very old, embarrassingly old. I'm not even tell you how old this is, on my lower lashes. Just a light coat. We feel like we have to just be overly honest with everyone and give everyone the benefit of the doubt and just, you know, like operate in the world with this just the highest sense of honor, because everything we've ever done in our lives has been constantly put under a microscope and constantly being told that we're somehow morally wrong or inferior. So we feel like we have to overcompensate for actually the flaws that were projected onto us and prove like, yes, even to ourselves, we're honorable and we're going to do the honorable thing and we're going to do the honest thing, give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And really, if there's a problem, then it must be us, right? Like that's how we're trained. So the next time that you get the feeling that I don't know if this person belongs in my life, just block them. Just block them. And don't worry about, feeling like an a-hole for doing it, because your gut was telling you that for a reason. And if anything else, what's that quote from Robin Williams? It's our weird little world. We get to choose who we allow in it. It's so much better than falling for the narcissist traps. It's so much better than them entrapping you and getting frustrated and responding to them in such a way that they can hold against you later. Because at the end of the day, the narcissists and narcissistic people are out there to try and prove themselves as the good one and you as the bad one. And they will do anything to make that happen and to avoid that cognitive dissonance. Once again, I don't know why my eyes are so red today. I apologize, that kind of ruins the look. But we're working with what we're working with. You still get the idea of how to do the look, okay? It's not my best work, but you get the idea. Also, people have been asking about this lipstick shade. I literally got this on sale for $2. It's a Wet n Wild soft blur matte lipstick in the shade Nude for Love, and I honestly love it. It's like a sheer matte lipstick. It's supposed to be like the Glossier lipsticks or whatever. I don't know, it's just like this blurring sheer lipstick that I find just, you can put it on with your eyes closed, super flattering. I think that's it. Sorry, it's like the Walmart version of what I did the other day. But this is the look. See if I can get my bangs to behave. Also, the light isn't as flattering as it was the other day because I was doing it at night and just using a ring light, and the daylight is showing just all of the imperfections. There we go. I think that lighting is a little bit better, but I hope that helped you. I hope that helped you realize that you don't owe anyone an explanation, and that your weird little world is your own, and block them. Just block them. And don't argue with trolls on the internet. It's just not worth it.